Hey guys, this is Danielle and WanderForrest with WanderForrest.
Hey.
This is mainly going out to family and friends for the moment, but it's going to be seen by a wider
audience.
wider audience at some point. So this is our first video. So there's going to be a lot of bloopers in it, and we don't really know how to edit it, so there's
Be lots of in-place bloopers.
So we wanted to talk about why Croatia, our first trip, and why this trip. So I suppose we should start with some background information, and maybe I should move this way so when I look at you.
That's okay. Good. This is totally staying in the video, by the way.
I know. So for those of you who aren't familiar with our story, we are going on a year abroad, mainly to Europe. This trip has been in the making for like 7 years. When I first read the 4-Hour Work Week and was really inspired to create a muse, a business that could be a savings engine for us and help support our travels and take mini retirements throughout our life. So, I should probably be looking at the camera.
Oh, sorry.
So
It's on the left.
yeah, okay. So we started our first business, Verde Lifestyles, about 7 years ago, and we just sold that business. It wasn't doing so hot, but hey, it was an awesome learning experience. So we have 2 other businesses now: JoyWorks Marketing, my business, and Ryan's business.
Fun Guy Marketing. People call me Fun Guy Ryan.
Do they really?
Yeah, actually they do. That one's for you, Colin.
I guess we should talk about kind of coming to Greensboro. Oh, we're in Greensboro, North Carolina right now. So when we started Verde Lifestyles, we were both working full-time jobs, and it was something that we were doing on the side for the past 6 years. And then we decided to move outside of Michigan and come to North Carolina because Ryan was offered an amazing position at a advertising agency.
Yep. Drone. Beam. Both.
So when we moved here, I quit my job at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and the plan was for me to look for work. But then we started thinking about well, what if I worked on Verde Lifestyles and tried to grow that business, while also looking for other opportunities. So I eventually decided hey, I could use some help with this. Decided to work with a business coach, Marianne, who's been awesome to work with Action Coach. So after working with Marianne on Verde Lifestyles for 6 months, it became apparent that the business was not going to be able to scale to the level that we wanted it to. So kind of put it on the back burner, started JoyWorks Marketing, or more a full service marketing company. But then, Ryan always had Fun Guy kind of in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I had the freelance business for pretty much since we started Verde, if not before.
But when did we call it Fun Guy? Or when did you call it?
January 2015. So January of this year is when we sort of put an official title on it.
Yeah. So while I was kind of figuring things out with Verde Lifestyles, looking for jobs, which I didn't find any I liked, obviously, and then decided to start JoyWorks Marketing, Ryan had been doing freelance Fun Guy during that time period. So fast forward to Labor Day. I always get those holidays mixed up. Labor Day's in September, right?
Oh, when we went to Asheville?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Labor Day weekend.
Okay. This is going to be the most convoluted video.
I love it. We're good.
Okay, so fast forward to Labor Day. And Ryan decided that he should quit his full-time job to work full-time on Fun Guy Marketing. So he did that. And we can go into more detail, I guess, in another video maybe. But I was kind of struggling with what I ultimately wanted to do for JoyWorks. like my long-term vision. So when we started talking about fungi marketing, decided that I would help Ryan get that off the ground, because as we were talking to people and mentioning what each of us do, whenever we mentioned the marketing automation, and people's like eyes like lit up.
Yes, interesting.
Tell me more. Whereas with Joyworks, it's like, oh, another full service marketing company, blah blah blah. Right. Even though it is super cool and unique, so
and awesome and joyful.
Very. So yeah, so that's kind of where. So yeah, I'm working on fungi marketing with Ryan right now. At what point did we decide we were going to go on our travel adventure? Because that was like the whole point of starting this video and blog.
Well, we listen to all your podcasts. You're my muse.
Sounds creepy. But at some point, gosh, I wish we would have written it down when we decided we're going to do a stint abroad. And we kept on changing the time frame too, because we were like, oh, do we want to do a year, 6 months, 3 months? Mm-hmm. So not only were we going back and forth on our destination, we were going back and forth on the time period. So at some point in the past year, we decided we're going to do a year.
I mean, ultimately it came down to like whether it was 3 months or a year. You know, we couldn't do the full-time job thing. Right. We had to both be full-time remote work, which we can do. You know, we'd have to have a team that could support us while we did this, which we've done. And we have to have a long-term plan for how we're going to grow the businesses and, you know, what kind of companies we want to work with, what kind of individuals we want to work with. So, you know, sort of developing that system, and like once we decided on the year, I mean, that definitely gave us some guardrails to work within. And then ultimately it was like, all right, well, there's, you know, a billion different places we could go in the world. Like, where are we going to go and how long are we going to stay? And, you know, we're very much interested in like full cultural immersion wherever we go. So we wanted to dedicate ourselves to staying in each location for at least a month, so that we kind of got used to the local. We could, you know, maybe make a few friends, make a few connections. Lots of friends. Yeah. Make some connections, and
we should probably
really get to know.
Sorry, keep on cutting you off. Ryan can go off on tangents sometimes, but that's good. The control freak in me. So So no, I'm just gonna.
Okay, you're fine.
So yeah, we knew we wanted to do the 3 month stint, and we knew we wanted to be in Italy for 3 months in the spring.
Yes.
That was like a
Always for sure. Yes.
We went to Italy for our honeymoon. We are so excited to go back. So as we kept on going back and forth about the different destinations, we were like, well, eventually we got to the point where it's like, why don't we just go to that part of the world now? Since we know we want to get there in the spring, saves, money on
flights or travel.
So then that's when we started researching the visa rules, the Seshkin zone. So if you're not familiar with the Seshkin zone, it's like 26 some countries in the Europe area, because like Iceland's included. I don't know, that's technically.
It's still Europe, but it's not mainland Europe.
Yeah, it doesn't really follow EU borders either. So there's some countries that are in the EU and that are a part of it. But anyways, if you Google Seshkin zone, you'll get a much better description. Schegen. So
something like that.
But for example, if we wanted to spend 3 months in Iceland, then we could not spend 3 months in Italy afterwards because of those visa rules. So like all the countries we wanted to go into in Europe fell within that zone. So we found out the like 5 or 6 countries that are not in the zone. Croatia, Romania, I think.
Bulgaria.
Yeah, Bulgaria and Cyprus, maybe 1 or 2 others, fell outside of that zone. So we're like, oh, Croatia's right next to Italy. Let's go there. So that's kind of how we chose Croatia, was based on those visa rules and being close to Italy. I mean, we had all sorts of other criteria, as we wanted to feel like we were a part of the community. We wanted to be downtown. We've always lived in the burbs. I have pretty high expectations for
the type of amenities in location.
Very spoiled in that respect, but that's okay. So I knew I wanted to. Did you make a funny face?
No.
So we had, so that's how we chose Croatia. But then we knew we wanted to have certain things in the place we stayed at. We wanted to plug it into the business community. So that's why we chose Split, Croatia in particular. It's the second largest city in Croatia. It's on the coast. The place, the Airbnb place we chose is right downtown. It's right near the water. And it's a pretty awesome place. Like, it's got a dishwasher and a washer and dryer and a stove. And for us Americans, it's like, well, duh, it's got those things. But apparently that's not the standard in other parts of the world. So that's how we got to our particular place in Split, was based on that criteria. And if you were thinking of planning your own trip, what we did is we also got a map and started pointing all the places we wanted to go. That was more of like a fun exercise, because in the end, that's not really how we chose our place, but it was still fun to do.
Well, it gave us some good guidelines, I feel like. I mean, there's definitely places on the map that we're going to go to, just not in the first 3 months while we're in Croatia.
Yeah. So I didn't want to make long videos, because I don't like personally watching long videos. So is there anything else you want to talk about?
We got plenty of other stuff. It's our last week in Greensboro, so we're going to be packing stuff up today. And then more stuff, I guess, throughout the week. And then we're leaving Saturday, a week from today. So it'll be...
Yeah, we're going to Michigan before we go to Croatia. So if you have any questions, please add them to the comments as far as like what you would like us to talk about in future videos. We've gotten several questions as far as like, how do you actually plan a trip abroad for a year? So that will inform future video content is your own questions. Like, people have asked about the logistics, like health and food and business stuff, and also just like
insurance.
Yeah, how do you pay your bills and all that good stuff. So we can do a separate video on that, but your questions would definitely be helpful to know the specifics, because there's a lot of different directions we could go in for that. So yeah, in summary, that's why Croatia and why this trip. So please enjoy our blog and check out our Facebook group that we just started. Any parting words?
Oh, we're excited.
Super excited.
All right.
Yeah, so the camera's on the chair in front of us, so it's gonna be really janky. Shut off.
Bye.
Bye.